Hello guys, welcome to the next episode of Late Friday Night's Banter Blitz. As usual, I will try to play some decent games. I will start again, it became just a good tradition, with several games against those guys I've never played. And then we will just get back to the normal order of challenges, alright? So, let me know if the stream is okay. Just as usual in comments, and we will start. But first I have to see, there are a lot of challenges today. That's rather unusual, but that's good. All right, a lot of guys I have already played a lot. Yep, including this one. So yeah, here is the first one I have never played. Accept. And white pieces. Alright, not bad for the start. Let's see. So e4, my favorite move. And what is going on? Son of Soros asks, "Hi Andrey, is it your favorite shirt?" Well, not a favorite one, but with the help of this t-shirt, I actually produce good results. That's why I wear it, because I had some problems during last episodes actually with playing decent chess, and the previous episode was more or less fine, right? At least I lost no games at all, so not a bad thing. Okay, so it looks like my opponent is not here, so let's go further. Okay, next one we have never played. Accept. I hope for white pieces again. Yeah, that is what I wanted to achieve. e4, e5. All right. So Rui Lopez, right from the start, not bad. Usually I take on c6 when I play Blitz, but yeah, this time I want to try something different. Okay, very aggressive approach. So with the bishop on c5, of course, black usually achieves a bit more active position, but it doesn't mean that this position is flawless. So position of the bishop on e7 is a bit more solid. Of course, at the same time it is a bit passive there, but black just protects the king side better. At the moment, however, it is not the case at all, because the king side is safe, unless I try something concrete there. But well, let's start with the bishop e3. If black takes on e3, f-file becomes open. Typical position, very typical for, let's say, some lines of Italian game, when white plays slowly with the c3 d3, so almost the same, I mean. Okay, knight goes to e7, so probably black wants to put the knight on g6. Why not to prevent it with the help of knight h4? So pawn f7 is pinned, as we can see, so knight g6 wasn't possible. Black decided to play bishop e6. Now I have an interesting choice. So I can even consider rook takes f6. Is it possible? Of course it's possible, but I'm not sure whether my compensation will be sufficient. because I'm still not developed. But it's very interesting, so I will try it. Crowding student asks why not d5 instead of knight e7. d5 is also a possible move, and usually it's okay for white just to play knight d2 against it. And if black takes on e4, I recapture, probably also with the pawn or maybe with the knight. Of course, my pawns are very bad, e4 and e3, but they are not necessarily that vulnerable. What is important, the f file becomes open. The bishop on b3 attacks f7, so I have some pressure on the king side. But of course d5 is just a playable alternative in my opinion. So now I sacrifice the exchange. So I exchanged my rook for the knight. Not very good exchange, to be honest, because I lost some material units. But I managed to damage the pawn structure on the king side. I have a plan of a direct attack against h6, f6 pawns, and also f5 square is a typical target for my knight. At the moment, however, it's not that easy to occupy it, because my point is to occupy it at the moment when it is possible to replace this knight, for example, with another piece, so that this resulting piece occupies this great outpost and exerts long-term pressure on black's position. So knight g6 actually offers very tempting capture on g6, then capture on h6. But isn't it better, for example, to ignore these pawns and instead to play knight to f5, simply creating a sort of queen h6 and queen g7 checkmate? Because I'm not sure that black has a defense there, unless he plays something like knight to e7, of course. So knight f5, knight goes to e7. If I take on h6, then knight takes f5. Okay. Anyways, this looks very tempting. I think I have to do this. After knight e7, I have an interesting option, queen g4, forcing the knight back to g6, where after I can try h4 followed by h5. This looks like something that gives me extra material. I can also play queen g4 check, knight g6, knight d2, just continuing the development. And then if rook goes to g8, I can come back with the queen to h5, but in this case, queen can go to f8, protecting h6. Yeah, that would be not so clear. Okay, we will see. In my opinion, knight e7 is just forced. Otherwise, I just take on h6 with the queen and goodbye. Maybe I'm stupid, but I can't see any other defense except for this knight e7 move. And after knight e7, of course, knight h6 is possible, but then king goes to g7. That is annoying, because in this case, well, black lost. Maybe it was a premature decision, so knight e7 is possible here. If I take on h6 with the queen, then knight takes f5. That is a defense. I think even this position is very promising for white, but everything depends on if I have the direct way of attack. So let's say black's defending maneuver could be something like queen e7, queen f8. So let's say rook goes to e8, preparing this queen e7, queen f8. I don't have rook a4 or rook g4 left because a4 is controlled. I can play knight e2, however, just preparing knight e4 followed by knight f6 is also a very strong threat, which means black simply has no time to play queen e7 here, so maybe d5 is forced. And now what? Now probably rook to f1, preparing very simple maneuver rook f3 followed by rook g3. If black plays e4, then I play just rook f4, so it doesn't change anything. Which means that probably it's better for black to try something like queen e7 or maybe queen d6. But then I just play rook f3. Yeah, so I'm just in time to perform this maneuver, so probably knight e7 doesn't save black from... yeah, doesn't save black from this catastrophic outcome. Yeah, so bishop b3 was probably a mistake. I mean, I would definitely not allow white to take on f6, but okay, let's imagine that this already happened. So now the key point is f5, right? So black has to control this square with all possible means. In my opinion, much more logical was something like king to g7 maybe. Preparing knight to g6, maybe, I'm not sure. There was also a possibility to play something like queen d7, preparing f5. In either case, I have a compensation, and I have very simple play on the king side, but as I said before, I'm not sure if that is so simple. So in the game, it was really simple, because after this, well, actually black lost one of the main defenders of f5 squares. Now it is much harder for black to coordinate the pieces. That's the point, because knight should stay on e7 probably to cover f5. So king g7 was still possible here. In which case, again, I think there is nothing better than just a simple knight d2 move. Let's say rook to h8, then rook to f1, something like this. Here black can try knight to g6, I guess. Knight goes to f5, king goes to f8. So yeah, this sort of position. Still not clear, but well, black's pieces placement is quite bad. So pieces are ugly, not coordinated. The pawn structure is much better for me. So I can come up with different plans. I can try something in the center with a d4, d5, then c4. I can also play h4 maybe, and queen goes away, then maybe h5, but in this case black has h6, h5 once my queen goes away. So position is not clear here. I think that was one of the best ways for black to play after bishop takes b3. Alright, anyways, not bad for the start. Let's go further. So the next guy I have never played before. Let's see, yeah, Son of Soros I just played during previous episode, I think. Yeah, and Igor Cavalier. Okay, I can't do it today, so I will just accept challenges without saying a word, because yeah, I'm a bit tired today. It is very hot here in Bielefeld, and today was my last day in my German course, so here we go. I just accept the challenge and we'll see. e4. c5, Sicilian. So there will be something interesting, I guess. Or maybe not. We will see. Yeah. Knight f6, knight c3, a6. Let's try again this modest bishop e2 move. e5, knight b3. Bishop e6. It's usually bishop e7 is the move. Bishop e6 is also possible, but as far as I remember, the best reaction against bishop e6 is f4 immediately. And now I can even try f5, why not? So it already looks ugly. To be honest. Maybe to continue with the g4, g5, or is it too much? It is probably too much. What else can I do? Bishop g5. Yeah, possible. Bishop g5 possible, so we'll have sort of Sveshnikov type position. I guess it's just a kite to keep developing the pieces, like bishop e3, bishop c6, I can play bishop f3, and then we will see. So maybe I will even castle long, right? Right. Well, Bielefeld is much better today than Hamburg. So what is going on in Hamburg, by the way? I know there is a G20 thing, but I failed to watch news during last days, so what is going on there? Tell me. Andrey, will you make a show in German? Miktal asks. One day for sure, but I don't think I'm ready. Bielefeld does not exist, so cannot be hot. Cannot be hot there. True. That is also kind of thing. Absolutely right. Okay, knight c5 attacking e4. I guess I have only two options, to take on c5 or to play queen to g2. Which is better? I'm not sure. Queen g2 looks quite decent. And let's try queen g2. I don't think it is bad. Why didn't I take on c5? Just because I want to castle long, and after knight c5, dc5, to save the queen I have to go away. Oh, what is that? I blundered something. Okay, let's take it. I just don't understand. Well, okay, maybe there will be something like takes, d5, but I can't even castle after that. Strange decision to take on e4, to be honest. Okay, let's take d5. All right, that is interesting. As I predicted, so the game will be very interesting, I said. And that's true. So what to do now? I can try even f6 here. So let's calculate. f6, d takes e4, f takes e7, queen takes e7, bishop e4, queen b4 check, and takes e4. That's bad. Alright, so maybe just to go away with the knight somewhere on g3, let's say. Then e4. Knight goes away. Sorry, bishop goes away, then d4. Castles. At this moment. Yeah, this might be something. Let's try it. In which city you lived in Ukraine before, Andrey? Another question. So, for a long time, I lived in Donetsk. But last 3 years before moving to Germany, I've been living in Dnipropetrovsk, which is now called Dnipro. Right, so here I wanted to castle, but then queen a5, I missed this resource. The things get really hot after that. Okay, anyways, let's do it. So queen a5, I think I can take with the bishop. Looks crazy a bit, but I still think I can do it. So queen a5, bishop d4, if bishop g5, king b1, if king a1, king d2, say bishop g5, king goes to c3, queen a5, b4. Yeah, I think I'm fine there. With the king on c3, but still. Alright, so let's see. I think black has nothing better than queen a5, but my opponent has the time, so maybe he'll find something. Yeah, that was an interesting approach, just to take on e4, because without this sacrifice on e4, because positionally black was already in a great trouble. And maybe to avoid all this, I should have captured on c5 simply. But alright. So now, just go away to b1. Now I think I have to go away with the bishop somewhere. But where? That's the question. Let's put it on f4. Minor piece up, but not so much time. Not so much time, so I have to be quick and convincing. It's not that simple. Not that simple to be quick and convincing in such a position. So let's just protect c2 and b2 simultaneously. Have to try something here. Okay. Let's put the knight on f5. Let's try to be active. Only 30 seconds. Position is winning, of course, but it's really annoying pressure. Yeah, that was unnecessary for me to play this. Now there is a big problem. I don't know. Let's put the rook here. Let's run away. Yeah, it's very bad. Now it's kind of winning. Okay, so actually black was very close. Black was very close. So here queen c6 I think was a mistake, because after queen d4 and king f3 it was possible to take on f4. And this forces me to g2 and queen takes g4. And it forces me to f1 where there is a rook to a1 winning the game. Yeah, that was very bad decision, but I had no time, so I just made this move and was hoping that I have some escape. Of course, I could have probably played something like this, but this, in my opinion, doesn't change a lot because f2 rook is hanging. Yeah, that's just a lost position. So queen c6 was definitely a great mistake. I'm not sure if I have something better here already. Maybe there was a chance to improve my play a bit earlier. I don't even know. So maybe. But I could have definitely played better somewhere here, I believe. So bishop c5, that is a key moment. So one interesting line could have appeared after queen a5. So here I wanted just to take on d4 with the bishop. So if bishop g5, then king b1, and I'm okay, right? If let's say queen to a1 instead, then king goes to d2, and I calculate. Oh, I missed this e3, but probably e3 is not that dangerous. I mean, I can take with the king, and then queen takes d1. Yeah, that is what I missed actually, because I was focused on bishop g5 follow up, and here I saw that after king c3, queen a5, and b4, I'm fine. And it looks like that, of course. I control a lot, and well, if queen goes to a4, I can even trap it with the help of rook to a1 move if I want. So that was a good position, but e3 is okay here for black. So e3, king takes e3, and now not bishop g2, but queen takes d1. And I guess, yeah, black should be better here, of course. So I can take on d1, bishop takes g2 with the extra exchange. Probably I have some counterplay, but I'm not sure. So yeah, maybe I can still try this f6, damaging the pawn structure. Maybe knight h5 deserves attention. So I have some play on the king side, but I have a feeling that black is just okay. So black should be better, I mean. So black is okay on the king side. Yeah, so maybe castling was not that cool. Maybe I should have played something like bishop f4 immediately, but position looks rather bad. At least to play blitz, right? So maybe I made a mistake somewhere here. Maybe queen g2 was not that cool after all. So there was an alternative way, comparatively safe. So just to take on c5, then to put the queen on g2 or e2, doesn't really matter in my opinion. Let's say on g2, why not? And then just to play g5, castles, knight e5, or g5, knight e5, and then castles. I can even castle short here. So the point is that I have a great advantage in space, and d5 square is weakened, so I should be better here, that's for sure. At least I have the initiative. So yeah, I guess that was the good way. But I didn't even see this possibility of knight takes c4. I didn't even consider it. Yeah. Thanks a lot for this game. That was an interesting encounter, in my opinion. All right. Let's go further. So, one more game, right? One more game. Maybe two against those guys I've never played. So, let's check. Florestan. Have never played, except. And again, white pieces. So I have a feeling that it already happened during the previous episode. So I also played a lot of games with white pieces. I don't remember. Maybe you can help me to remember. Was it exactly this last time or not? d6. So g4 is the most promising move here against e6, d6, but let's try something else. Let's try f4 instead. a6 and queen to f3. Something like this. Should be playable, at very least. Just a typical setup. Knight b3, knight c3, bishop d3, another bishop, well, on e3 or d2. I usually put it on d2. I think it is in a bit more flexible position, because bishop controls b4 square indirectly, and a5. At some point it might be useful. Then castles, another rook goes to e1. It's, by the way, very simple to play with white. For blitz it's just ideal, because you make almost all the moves almost automatically, just without thinking. And yeah, okay, knight b4 deserves attention, no questions. Right now, when my king is on e1, because otherwise there could be knight b5. Now it makes no sense, of course, in the view of this knight e3 intermezzo. So I think I should castle simply. Now I have in mind just to play knight b5. Okay. That's clear that queen d3 makes no sense. So the point is just to support my central pawns and to try to benefit from the c file. Bishop c6, okay. Now what? First, let's put the queen on g3, just to go away from this opposition with the bishop c6. And at the same time, white attacks g7. Now, let's play f5. So bishop h6. Might be this threat, but not necessarily, of course. But let's check. So bishop goes to h6, knight goes to h5, this is forced, or knight to e8, but knight to e8 leads to f6, I guess. So knight to h5, queen to g4. Then what? King to h8, most likely. Queen takes h5. Wow, this looks very bad. So let's try it. Unless I blunder something, I don't know, but this looks pretty much straightforward and quite efficient. Yeah, queen g4, attacking the knight. If g6, I just take on f8 if I want. And do I want? Or maybe knight d5 is also a continuation that deserves serious attention. Well, I don't even know what to start with. Knight d5 looks cool. Queen goes to d8. Knight takes e7. Queen takes e7. Then even f6 is possible. Now let's try to start with the knight e5 move. I'm not in a rush, so it's a tempo move. Queen is attacked. Knight is invulnerable because of the penal on the c file. There are so many different opportunities. I mean, even f6. f6. Knight takes f6. Knight takes e7. Queen takes e7 and queen g5 wins. f6 if bishop d5, then f takes e7. Yeah, and bishop on d5 drops. Extra minor piece. And if bishop takes f6, then what? Then nothing serious. Alright, there are a lot of different ways to win, I think so. Let's just try something simple. Just simplify position a bit. Attack the queen, queen goes away, I just take on f8, and then try to checkmate black with the queen g5, queen h6 maneuver, for example. If knight takes f6, then queen g5. It's very important, I think, to put the queen exactly on g5, because there it will be protected by the bishop, so there is no knight d5 trick or something. So queen on e7 is simply not protected. So knight e5 is still possible, by the way. e5, queen g5, bishop g5, bishop takes d5. I'm a minor piece up. There is also a bishop e7 followed by bishop d6 follow up, so it should be just a winning position for white. And not a hard winning, to be honest. So definitely after f6 it was necessary just to go away with the queen, but I don't think it changes the evaluation of the position. Still winning, I mean. Yeah, sometimes, as you can see, just a straightforward play decides. But I think the main reason I won this game so easily, that probably my opponent didn't have enough experience in this opening line. So, first of all, just to start with, I don't think that this knight b4, knight e3 is something really necessary thing to do. So, what is okay here is just a castle. After castling, to play b6, after rook e1, to play bishop b7, and after queen h3, it is important to prevent e5 move, because there is a main threat now. e5 takes, rook f6, something like this, or rook e5 followed by rook f6, and so on. So now it is important to make a prophylactic move, to put one of the rooks to d8. For example, this way, rook d8. The point is that white can't achieve anything just right away, because e5 idea drops after this, and then knight takes e5. And now if I, let's say, take on e5, then queen takes e5, and if I take on f6, well, first of all, bishop f6 is enough, because the king hides somewhere on e7. But there is also a counter blow, something like this, rook d3. So that is the basic idea behind rook d8 move. So as we can see, it is possible to do this, the same with another rook as well. So rook goes a to d8, and now e5, d5, fe5, knight takes e5, say rook takes e5, queen takes e5, rook takes f6, and as you can see, h7 is hanging, so it's not possible to take on f6, but rook d3 not only saves the day, but also gives black an advantage. That's the point. Okay, so everyone asked me to play Simba. So let's play Simba. Why not? It will be the last game with the guy I've never played before today. Well, maybe not the last game, I mean the last for this part of the episode, because then I will just play accepting challenges one by one in the order they were left. And maybe there will be also some newcomers, in a sense of attending the show. Alright, so let's try d6, but I have a feeling that my opponent is just aware of the theory here, and I will have some serious problems. So that is the idea here. I want to play knight a5 and knight c4. Just like this. Grabbing the bishop. Because without the light squared bishop, I think white has no serious advantage. And has no initiative at all. Okay. Stop. Can I just play c5 here, by the way? Is it possible to play c5 here? What is going on after c5? The queen is attacked. Where the queen goes? To b5 probably, right? Yeah, it's a b5. Yeah, it's okay for white. So let's just take on c4. And now I will continue development with the help of this simple knight e7 move. So, as we can see, I just sacrificed the pawn back. I'm not against even to sacrifice one more. The point is actually to have a pair of bishops here. The problem is that my d6 pawn is something that may very soon drop. Okay, so what to do here? To play knight g6 or just to castle? Castling looks obvious, but then rook d1 comes. There is also a possibility to play in a gambit style, just to play queen e6 or something. Queen takes c6, bishop takes c6, bishop takes d6, I'm pawn down. I don't remember how is it played. There was a game, as far as I remember, between... Oh, let me remember. So black was Caruana, and white was who? Nisipiano, yeah. And black did very well, just sacrificing this d6. Who knows? Maybe it's the way. Let's do. There was a bishop b5 suggestion in chat at some point, but then I just take the queen on b3. I think exactly that moment after knight a5. Because after c5 that I calculated, of course, it wasn't possible because I win some material. But anyways. Okay. So I do believe I will have some compensation because of a better pawn structure and pair of bishops. There was something like that in that game that I mentioned, and black won eventually, but I'm not sure it is exactly this line. I don't remember it. I just remember the idea behind, but not the whole thing. So maybe it's a good idea just to refresh the theory one day. Okay, so what white is going to do? So maybe just to challenge me with something like knight g5. So it looks like a good idea for me just to try h6 here, preventing knight g5. Looks a bit slow, but why not? There is also another idea, rook d6, bishop c5, but then rook c6 at very least, or even rook e6 is much better, and then knight c4, and just a pawn down. And it doesn't work either. Let's play h6 at the moment. Yeah, so Formless says absolutely correct things, so white is not better, but it depends on what black does, actually. So I can just spoil everything very quickly here, so I have to be very careful. So, okay, let's put the rook on e8. Just preparing some action against e4 pawn. It looks like the object of attack that is accessible at very least. So bishop a5, I guess. Controlling e1 square, by the way. Knight here. Okay, so I think I have to attack the knight immediately with the help of, say, bishop to c4 move. Simultaneously attacking the e4. Just in time. Otherwise, if I don't challenge the knight, then bishop just goes away somewhere. And d6 looks like a big problem for me. Alright, now what to do? To take on d4, I guess. And then to take on e4. Also looks very natural. It looks like I won the pawn back, but there are still a lot of tricks, because this bishop on d6 is very active and I have 59 seconds. That is probably the main factor here. Okay, so let's focus. Let us focus. Rook takes d4 is very tempting, but it leads only to equality, I think. Or maybe a slightly better position for me. So let's simplify the position this way. At least it is something simple to play, but I do believe I should have done something else, just maybe to go away with the rook somewhere, but I made this decision only because I'm in a time trouble. Only because I have several seconds on the clock. Of course, in a real game with normal time control, I would have played a different thing. Okay, so it's time to go back to cover e7 square, and then probably to improve the position of my king getting to c6. I'll have better position of the king, better bishop. Now I have a concrete threat in addition to these factors. But first, should be protected or not? I think I have no time for this. Probably a6 was an accurate decision. Alright, takes. Now I will protect it. I'm still slightly better because of e5 pawn. Let's blockade it. Okay, this drops a pawn, which is very good for me. Oops. Oh my goodness! At some point I thought that I have even more time, but okay. Well, I completely outplayed my opponent, but then the time played the decisive role. Okay, anyways, thanks for the game. So I think that there is much better way for white to play. As far as I remember, just a second. So all this is not very dangerous for black, to be honest. So once I managed to grab this bishop, everything is okay. There was a game of short, very tricky one somewhere here. So instead of taking on e5, as far as I remember, he played something like a4, but I might be wrong because I don't remember it at all. So somewhere here, maybe a4, followed by bishop a3 or knight a3. That is the most dangerous thing for black here. So this is not. I just take the bishop and okay, I'm fine. I can sacrifice this pawn. It's not a big deal for me. But probably in this concrete situation, after bishop f4 exactly, so I do believe that rook d1 is a bit more accurate way of doing it. I think I could have played something more greedy than just giving up this pawn. So maybe... Okay, even bishop c7, come on. A bit passive move, I know, but I save the pawn and then just gradually start improving my pieces one by one. There is a possibility to make a castle and after rook d1 to try something like, again, this. No, this doesn't work. So maybe bishop queen e6 or maybe bishop c5. Bishop c5 here also deserves attention. So there are a lot of interesting possibilities, but the point is that after this exchange, despite black has a pawn down, black has a compensation. So pair of bishops and better pawn structure, that is enough. and a bit more comfortable way of placing the pieces. So I just play bishop e6, castles, and well, another rook goes to e8. I have very simple play here. White has to struggle finding good squares for the pieces. That's the idea. Okay, yeah, that is usually a very bad thing when you lose the game on time like this. Already with the extra queen, so you're just not fast enough at the very end. But well, okay, what to do? When you play Blitz, of course, time is one of the main factors. Sometimes even the main one. So now let's come back to normal order of challenges. You is the next 5 minutes. Let's go. White pieces. All right. Let us come back with aggressive play. Okay. Anyways, knight c6 or d6, we play d4. All right. Queen goes to f6. So if queen goes to e7, the queen should go back, as far as I remember. Here I think I can take. Yeah, because there is no bishop f5 move. After d5, ed5, knight b4, or knight b4 first, and then d5, there is no bishop f5. This means that queen f6 is okay. Yeah, after queen f6, going away with the queen is pretty much a dubious decision, because the queen has a chance to go to g6, something like this. Yeah. Alright, d5, let's take with the pawn. Bishop f5, and now what? Bishop g5, I think, is a move. That bishop g5 should be alright here. Just fighting for the pawn d5, so I give up d3, I don't need it. But I want to save my d5 pawn. That is important thing. By the way, in the previous game, when I played rook takes d4 and bishop c3, there was a possibility for white just to play rook 8 d1. That was a better version, because opposite colored bishops, in my opinion, just guaranteed a draw. Simple draw or something like this. Maybe white wanted to win, of course, but I don't know. Okay, bishop d3. Let's try castling. With a tempo, and the next stage is also quite obvious. I think I will just attack e5 pawn. It looks very logical when the king is on e8. There is also another plan. Alright, let's forget about it. Position has changed, but I have a feeling that I can just take on f6 and then play f3. What black is going to do with the bishop on d3? Just again, unless I blunder something, but it looks like I just win this central pawn easily. Oh no, I blundered. Yeah, that was a stupid idea. So after castling long, for example, I can't take twice, I think, on e4 because of rook d5 in the end. Or can I? So let's say castles long, I take on e4, f takes e4, knight takes e4, rook takes d5. Let's forget about it. Okay, king is on d7, situation is changed. Now I guess I can just take on e4 twice. Do I have anything better? I'm not sure. g4 is kind of tricky possibility, but I don't think it is better than just simple capture on e4, but let's calculate. So let's calculate. So f takes e4, knight takes e4, rook c8, king d2. Bishop is under attack, bishop goes to c4, I just played b3 maybe. Yeah, it looks very promising. But I might be wrong. Anyways. So, I don't care. Let's take. So, refreshing my chat. It is stuck. Just stuck. No, I hate it when it works like this. So, let's refresh the page completely. Because it's just doesn't respond. And I want to read what you write there from time to time. Okay, I'm a pawn up, but here is the rook endgame, so the things might be complicated, extremely complicated. But I have a better pawn structure in addition to the extra material. So let's see, if I put my king on d2, there might be a problem with the d5 pawn. So rook g8 attacking g2, I place it like g3, and rook goes to g5 attacking d5, and then if my king goes to the e file, then rook jumps to c2. This looks like a counterplay. So I guess I should just put it on b1. Rook on e8. Okay. All right, so black came up with the counterplay against my d5 pawn, so I don't think it makes sense for me to fight for it, because black anyways has a good chance to win it, so I just exchange it for another pawn. Now there is a question what to do next. It is not simple whatsoever to play this position. What about this check? And just come back to the 7th rank. Yeah, my technique is not that cool, to be honest. Alright, let's try to get use of this weakness on a6. Maybe this will work somehow. Kind of new weakness. And now. Okay. Looks like I managed to outplay my opponent. But again, there is a question of time, but I think the position is absolutely winning now for white. Check. And I have what? I have 2 extra pawns. But only 20 seconds. That is of course a problem. Yeah, I have a bit more time, so it wasn't that promising, I think, to keep playing, because, well, my moves are quite simple too. I just gradually push one pawn after another. The king is cut off here, so it can't cross the 6th rank, so it can't help actually, and the rook can't control both pawns simultaneously, so it's absolutely winning. But I think black missed something, yeah, given me the simple play against the a6 pawn. So I have a feeling that there was a much better way to deal with this. So somewhere here, for example, after king b4, I'm not sure that rook c2 was better actually, because I just played b3, but there was something more active, I do believe. So somewhere here, king, rook, yeah, king f3 was definitely already a bad move. But what to do instead, I don't know. Rook c4. Yeah, rook c4 was interesting, just forcing my king back, because after king a5, rook a4, and king b6, there was an active b4. That is what I thought would be annoying, but now I can see that I have very simple rook h4 move, just like in the study of Jan Tiemann. Of course, it's not the same position, but we even discussed this study once during one of the episodes of Training Tuesday with premium members. So yeah, rook h4, pinning the pawn, b takes a3, I just take the rook. If b3, I just take the rook. And if not, then gradually black will be just in Zugzwang. So yeah, rook is trapped. Okay, so this idea did work. What if rook c8 instead of king d7? At which moment I have no idea. Rook c8. Rook c8. Okay, just a second. Chronic student made a great suggestion. So after rook h4, a5 move. No, a5. Yeah, if a5 can work, by the way, because there is a threat of taking on a3 now. Wow, very nice, very nice, very nice. Yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting. But I think I can take on b4 here. Forget about this. Yeah, trapping the rook just to take on b4, and if rook takes b4, I think it should be easily winning position after rook b4, a b4, and just h4. But we have to calculate, right? h4, king g3, h5, f5, h6, f4, h7, f3, h8. Yeah, white is winning. So if a takes b4 instead, then king to b5. And then after rook a2, most likely just b3. And then I take b4 and win. Yeah, an interesting idea, king b5 instead of taking on b4. Another suggestion in chat. That's great. Yeah, takes, rook takes a4, and after a takes b2, rook a2. Yeah, just nice, just nice. Yeah, just a real study line, right? Very cool. Thanks a lot for all this, guys. Yeah. By the way, this idea of a5 suggested by Chronic student, I think it is just a result of solving studies and actually following Training Tuesday. So you can do the same if you are a premium member. Then you will have these great ideas in your mind. Yeah, very nice. All right. As for the opening stage, I think that it was possible also to improve black's play. As far as I remember, the main line after capturing on d3 and playing bishop f5, of course, there is another line So instead of d5, it's possible to play modus d6, but okay. Let's say black plays this, e d5, bishop f5, bishop g5. As far as I remember, black castles immediately here. That is the main idea. What is the difference, actually? I don't know. But bishop d3 doesn't look very cool. Maybe I made a mistake here somewhere. I don't know. Maybe knight takes e4 is better. Maybe not. Yeah, knight takes e4 looks like a bit more accurate decision here than bishop e4, rook e1. Because after my f3, f5, and rook e1, there is definitely castling possible. And I think that after taking on e4, it is just okay to play rook takes d5. There is threat of bishop takes e4. If I play knight f6, then rook c5 at very least is possible. After knight c3, it is possible to put the rook on d7, and black is okay here. So after castling, I already wanted to try something tricky, like maybe g4, trying to exploit the position of the bishop on d3, which is a bit vulnerable. So if e takes f3, then I take the bishop. If f takes g4, I just take on e4 with the pawn. And again, the bishop feels not very comfortable. But this is still playable, I think. Even this position is okay for black. But white is definitely exerting pressure. So, I don't know, maybe after g4 it's okay just to go away with the bishop and to see how it goes. Yeah, unclear position. Anyways, was interesting. Let's go further. Sebi 1996 is the next, accept. And the next is shelling. Be ready. But you're always ready, okay? I have a strange feeling that I play only white games today. Well, only one was when I made a draw, right? Maybe one more, but it feels like just an episode of playing with white. That's a strange thing, but all right. Bishop a4 still. And d3. The very first game, as far as I remember, was played in this line today. What about this move? And now bishop e3. So kind of provoking this slight weakening of the king side prior to doing this exchange of bishops. Because the more pawns move on the king side, the better for me, especially in the view of opening of the f file. So g6 will be kind of weakened square, but now I think it makes not that great sense, because in many cases black just plays h6 himself. Yeah, alright, it was better to castle. But anyways, this position looks interesting. Castles, castles. This forces me to go away, of course. And now, this position definitely looks a bit boring for white, but only because my pieces are passive at the moment. But it doesn't mean it will be true during all the games. So maybe I will have a chance to improve them. So now I want to put my queen on e1. Just to prepare knight h4, for example. And maybe rook d1 at some point. So let's imagine black plays d5 again. Let's just dream a bit. Maybe he even takes on e4 d file becomes open, then probably rook d1 will be helpful. My bishop on c2 looks really stupid here, but, well, bishop c8 also doesn't have a lot of work over the board. Now what is that? Queen d7. Does it mean black wants to put the queen on g4? Maybe, by the way, can be played. But I don't think it is really dangerous. So let's continue our plan. Knight h4, then knight f5 maybe. Maybe again rook takes f6, by the way. So in the very first game there was something very similar. I mean, I just sacrificed the exchange. The point that my queen is already on e1, but maybe it is even better because my queen has direct access to the g file after this sacrifice. But okay, I don't think that black will give me even the chance to sacrifice on f6 here. So queen goes to e7. This actually means that queen d7 was just a waste of time, honestly. So let's put the knight on f5. Of course, this gives black a chance to get rid of the bishop, but this gives me the bishop with no counterpart. So long term, it might be very good for me. Especially when I manage to get rid of these pieces along the f file. Will be very good for me, that's for sure. Okay, g6 looks very dubious, but it's playable because my rook is hanging. But I don't believe it was a good idea in general. So let's go away. It weakens black's position, that's what I mean. Alright, knight on h5. It's probably not that bad, but I don't see a useful work for this guy. So let's start improving position on the king side, oh sorry, queen side. Should I play b4? No. I don't have to. I just wanted to create a2 square just in case d5 will be not possible. Now black is quite passive. Let's increase the pressure along the f file. Oh, knight is going to g5. That is something that I missed. This might be quite annoying, honestly. So maybe it makes sense for me just to prevent it. I guess bishop decides everything here. f7 is hanging, right? Already. Let's put the bishop on d5 just to prevent c4 followed by knight c5. And now just g4, or not. Yeah, why not? Just grabbing the space. More and more space. More and more space. f6 square is mine. but I want to put the knight there, so let's just improve its position. I mean, all the pieces occupy very good positions. It's time to improve the knight. Take on b4 just to play a4. Guess a4 is good. Fixing the pawn on a5, this might be another weakness that I can attack in the future. By the way, I can even come back with the knight to go to c4. Yeah, let's do it. a5 almost drops. The knight also exerts pressure on d6. Now c3 is under attack, however. If I take on e5, then rook b1 check, intermediate check. And c3 is very important to sacrifice it, so let's protect it. Okay. Yeah, very pleasant position. Very pleasant position. Still not simple to convert it. Yeah, bishop b5 was a move that, of course, should have been not played, because bishop b5 is stupid, just a trap. Yeah, I just played on time a bit, sorry for this, but the advantage in time and the clock was just huge. It was very tempting to use it. So, of course, it was much better for me to, well, probably just to prevent all this activity somehow. Well, it looks very simple play, right? So here, knight to c4. But maybe it was better for me just to keep playing for this f6 square. So originally I wanted to put the knight on h2. Then at some point to play g5 to have knight g4 and f6 maneuver. But once I play g5, there is also h5. So that is stupid. Okay, so I just come back to d2. That was okay. Rook here, knight c4, rook b3. Yeah, here maybe it was better for me just to take on a5 to exchange this c3 pawn for a5 pawn to have the passed pawn already, and then to try to promote it. Yeah, so position remains quite hard to play, but it's much harder to play it with black, of course, because white has more space and all the pieces are a bit more active, right? Right. Okay, Schelling, right? Schelling forward, the next, accept. And I have to be really focused, because as far as I remember, last two games I just lost to Schelling, so let's try to be serious. Caro-Kann. Okay. Main line, right? Right. This queen b6 move is a bit annoying. I don't know how to react to this move correctly. Alright, I'll just play something standard. Maybe it's not a good idea in general. It's time to learn Caro-Kann, I mean. Time to learn it. I'm just too lazy to learn this. I don't know why. Not very interesting opening. Well, not. It's okay. There are a lot of interesting things possible. I have no idea why don't I just learn it normally. And play this strange looking bullshit. So I do believe there is a much better way to react to this queen b6 move. Everyone knows the Caro-Kann says don't G. Yep. And almost everyone plays Caro-Kann nowadays, right? That's the problem. So now c3 is very tempting to occupy. With black's knight, I mean. Okay, queen b5. Quite typical exchange of queens. I'll offer. I'm not sure I have to take it because black will have very good square c4 for the knight, for the rook. There will be also the minority attack plan possible, so no, I won't take it. So let's play active chess, simply and quickly. Queen e4. Okay, let's put the bishop on e3. I don't want to exchange queens. Okay? Chronic student. My goodness. Why did you say that to all these guys? Now everybody knows what to do against me. Everyone will play Caro-Kann after this. All right. So what to do here? My god. So rook h4 is nothing. Bishop takes h4 simply. It's very tempting to put the knight somewhere, but there is no good square. I mean, I can put it on d2, but then queen to f5, and then what? I have no idea. But okay, it's time to make some moves, at least. So. Something tricky. I know it's a complete bullshit, of course, what I'm doing here, but it may be not that stupid completely. Yeah, this maneuver of the knight to g3 looks just awful. But okay, like it's still not castled, so maybe it will give me some chances. And the bishop is on c3 now. But now what? Just to grab the space, like... Yeah, let's play for the space. Oh, b5 immediately. Okay. I will also attack, or at least I will try to do this. Yeah, there is nothing. There is nothing, absolutely. There is nothing except for problems for white. Let's try to make something. Let's pretend everything is just planned. That is what happens when you don't know Caro-Kann. You're just worse at some point. Is there a quick checkmate or something? I don't think so. So let's just grab the pawn on c4. Let's try to grab the one on g5 maybe. Oh wow. Things go absolutely crazy. Everything can happen. Just started pushing pawns there, right? Okay, I will also push my pawns. Position is very complicated. Black should be alright here, I guess, after all. Ah, I'm not in time with my counterplay. Okay, let's see, maybe I will manage to do something here. I don't know. Black's pawns are just crazy. Oh. No. Oh no. Yeah, I'm just lost here. Just lost. Yeah. Whew. Well. Yeah, I did a lot of stupid moves, of course. Somewhere here. I guess my opponent gave me perfect chance for a counterplay. So g6 takes. King h7. Yeah, it was necessary maybe to play e5 somewhere here, just to prevent all this activity. Yeah. My goodness. Yeah, this pawns became just extremely strong. Extremely strong. Even this activity didn't help. Yeah, just rook f7. Black is just in time. Black is just in time. Black controls everything perfectly. Yeah. I can't do anything here. So rook f6 takes and rook e8. Perfect. Yeah. So I play rook d7, queen d7, and rook e1 checkmate. Absolutely good. Yeah. Great game. Okay. So Smux is the next. And finally black pieces. Okay. So my homework for the next Friday to learn this fucking Caro-Kann. Right? Right. Because it's a shame, right, to play this shit. So I lost the game to Formless, as far as I remember. There was also this line with queen b6. And I do nothing to improve. on this way. That's why I'm being punished. Everything is logical, right? So Andrey lost the game, says Chronic Student. Yes, I did. Are you happy? Oops. That was just nervous gesture. Very strange, actually, except for the fact that it might be playable. Okay, let's put the bishop on a6. Ha, he seems to dislike the Chronic Student. No, of course not. Chronic Student is great. So now, it looks like b3 is completely weakened. Can I just directly attack it somehow? I can't believe it is a good idea for white to play this way. Okay, let's attack the b3. Bishop to a3. Oh my goodness. Why didn't I even consider this move? It's so typical. But okay, I think I have queen g5 or something. I have queen g5. Position becomes very strange. This kind of mix of different lines. And I'm at big risk now because, well, if I fail to undermine the c4 pawn at some point, my bishop might be imprisoned forever. I'm talking about my light squared bishop, of course. But at the moment I'm a bit ahead in development. This gives me some hopes. But my king is ugly on f8. No coordination. Oh. Oh, this drops a lot. Check. And attacks the rook on a1. I'm happy. I'm happy with the outcome of this strange opening encounter. Is there a book you can recommend on the Caro-Kann? I think it is the question to Schelling, right? Not to me. It's strange to ask me this sort of questions after I lost like a patzer. I wanted to say something else, but it's enough to describe my poor play. So now I can just take on a1, right? Right. Why not? That is the whole rook. b1 is hanging. And now what? Now I can go back to e5, I think. Yeah. Is it possible just to take on b3 here? I'm just curious. Let's try it. Again, another Patzer move, but just interesting. Because if this works, I'll be happy. After CD5 it definitely works, of course. Because the knight on b1 is hanging. Maybe there was something else for white. But I think black should be, of course, much better already. Okay, I think it is kind of the last trick, so I will prevent all sort of activity here by playing d6. I'm just clearly the rook up. Oh, that is too much. That is just too much. Alright, so queen d2 was definitely a mistake here. Queen d2. Position was extremely unclear in my opinion. There was a possibility to try knight d2. I think that was just a decent move, protecting b3, preparing castling long. At some point, of course, maybe not immediately. The normal play can be connected with something like h4, then g3, or maybe g3 and f4, something like this. So I thought of playing knight c3 here, but that was extremely risky because this knight can be easily trapped. So even queen e3, which at first glance looks ugly, in fact after this exchange leaves the knight without squares. And it's possible just to attack the knight next move. That is the line I was actually a bit afraid of. So I wanted to do something like, I don't know, rook e8 maybe. But after rook e8 I have to be ready to simple knight f3 or maybe knight e4. It is also possible just to sacrifice this e5 by simply castling. Just a typical idea in Scotch. Well, I'm not sure that this is a good order of moves. Why not just to play the c4 move instead? I don't know. Maybe I missed something. Maybe somebody played this several days ago. I just don't follow the current tournaments and so on. So I don't know. But definitely this b3 and then a4 instead of c4 and b3 looks a bit strange to me. All right. Okay. Anyways, let's play one more. Probably, okay, two games, and that's it for today. Olaf, 146. Finally, games with black pieces. Very nice. At least I know what to do here, right? Right. Absolutely. So that is kind of a mix of different lines. So also mix the things. So Queen's Indian with the Ninto Indian. Very interesting. Very interesting setup. Okay, let's castle. Okay. I do my favorite thing here. Just give up the bishop, but then start very quick counterplay in the center and at the same time enjoy this damaged pawn structure. So now I think d5 is logical. And doesn't really matter where white castles here. That will be good, I think. So I'll just take here. Attack the bishop. Now, just to take on c3, damaging the pawn structure, or to continue exerting pressure with the rook c8. Both look very tempting, but I just decided to play something simple. Some simple stuff in this game, so let's start with this capture on c3, and then rook c8. Playing against hanging pawns. A lot of different hanging things in white's position, honestly. Oh no. Without this bishop, white is just lost. There is no compensation for these numerous weaknesses. Absolutely bad position of the king on c1. And so on. There are a lot of bad things in white's position now. But I still have to convert all this into a win. So as I said, I would play something simple, right? So why not to double the rooks along the c file, for instance. Yeah, logical. Logical. Just to play b5 and b4 also looks logical. I can take on f3 if I want. Then rook goes to d3, I can play queen f4 check and then take on h2. Yes, I will do exactly this. Why not? Why not to grab some pawns? Wow, what am I talking about? Why not to grab some pawns, not some points? Yeah, it's probably very late already, that's why. It happens to me. My rook on c7, by the way, can join the defense of the g7 if needed, so I can play f5 at some point. Now b5 looks very good. And f5 just protecting g7. Okay, let's see. This attacks h6, but h6 is protected at the moment, e6 mainly. So what about just knight c4 first? Creating sort of knight a3, but this forces the king to a1 where it wants. What about queen d6, move attacking the bishop? That looks also very simple and very efficient. Yeah, looks absolutely losing for white, but everything can happen here. It's Blitz. But now I think I can take the bishop. Where to put my queen? To c8. Then rook e7 is a bit annoying. It's probably queen to b7 is better. Just controlling the 7th rank. Yes. Queen b7. Also having in mind queen e4 possibility, exchanging queens once the rook goes away from the e-file. This will never happen in this game, I guess. But still. Last hope, right? If I take on the 8, there will be a perpetual all of a sudden. Okay, let's prevent it. With the help of this solid move, protecting everything. Thematic Banter Blitz or tournament on the Caro-Kann. It will be just my nightmare, I think. Don't you think so, Zweihosex? You want to make me cry or something? What happened? Rook to e7, okay. Yeah, my rook can just come back to f7 and it will be absolutely winning for black. So, what happened? Actually, there was a mix of lines, I guess, after bishop b4, bishop d2 and castling. It was much better for white just to start with the a3. And now after bishop c3, there is something decent. So, white, I think, should avoid playing e3 here too early, because if I take on f3 now, you just take g takes f3 and position looks a bit much more solid when the pawn is still on e2. So you're not forced to play e3, you can play e4 instead and then just play for space. Also, position is quite flexible because after bishop f3 you still have a chance even to take with the e2 pawn. So something like this could be recommended, because after e3, well, it's still okay, but after c5 it's definitely much better for you to play something like bishop e2 instead of bishop d3, just to be ready to recapture on f3 with bishop, because after bishop d3 it is rather typical thing. So I'm just better in a sense of development. I just attack d4 directly. I have this d5. Well, this fact that you have pair of bishops, I think, doesn't decide here. So what decides here is the factor of development and the pawn structure. I mean the resulting pawn structure is just awful for white. Moreover, I just have very simple play here. Of course, rook c8 immediately was a bit better, I think, and for you it was a bit better to put the bishop on a6 immediately here, preventing rook c8. But there I also have the ideas like bishop c3 followed by queen d5. And well, here I guess it's already strategically lost, because my knight is much better long-term than your bishop, which has no real objects of attack, and there are just a lot of weaknesses all around. Right. Okay, so the last game today against Formless. I will try my best to play a decent game, and yes, I'm playing with black, which means there is no Caro-Kann, which is cool. But nevertheless, Formless won 2 games, right, against me. So I need the win, or at least a draw, right? So just to start with actually equalizing the position, and then we will see. Okay, knight f6 should be played here. d3 a6, c3 d6, a4 h6. So standard set of moves. Castles. And now what about just a5? So usually I play something like bishop e6 here, but in this game I just want to try knight e7, knight g6 maneuver. Why did I play a5 first? Just to fight for space a bit on the queen side. h3. Okay, let's go further to g6. And now, I guess, bishop e6 should be playable. The same maneuver, queen e8, preparing rook to d8 and also controlling h5 square, maybe protecting it in advance. For example, now, can I play just knight h5? I guess, yes, why not? Queen is already on b3, e6 is protected, so why not? Just trying to get to white's king with my knights. F file is open, right? F file is open. Okay, let's start with some prophylaxis. Just go away with the king from this a to g8 diagonal. Now it's very tempting to put the knight g6 to f4, but the question is, does it give me anything? D takes e5 looks like a move that wins a pawn, but then queen g6, knight g4, extremely unclear. Knight takes h3, takes f3. Okay, so that could be something. Not sure I calculated it well, but let's try. At least I created a concrete threat of a checkmate, right? In one. Which is not bad, because I'm playing with black. So I was the first to create a checkmate in threat. Already an achievement, right? Right. For sure. Okay. You want to tell me there is nothing? I can't believe it. There should be something. So knight h3, gh3 is nothing. Queen to f7 maybe. Just to create a threat of this kind. Not sure. Okay, let's start with this move. Just to forget about this threat of taking on e5. Now queen f7, creating threat of knight takes h3. Now e5 fighting for the long diagonal, and not only. Long diagonal for my bishop, I mean, of course. Yeah, rook c2. So now, e takes d4. Knight takes d4. There is also nothing. My god. How is it possible, huh? What about knight takes h3, king takes h3, knight f4, bishop f4, queen h5, knight h4, everything is just fine. I can't believe in this. But it's true. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay, let's wait a bit. That is strange, but it doesn't work. Okay, bishop went away, now it can work. Maybe. Whew. That will be PT. I think if it doesn't work again. Probably knight takes g2 was better. My goodness. Yeah. I just sacrificed the piece for nothing. Why did I do this? Have no idea. Queen b3 was much better probably than this capture on h3. There was just like, yeah, just like an impulse. Or how is it called in English? I have no idea. Fuck. There is absolutely nothing now. I'm absolutely lost. Yeah, what a pity. Yeah, but I believe black was better, of course, but well, who cares now? I'm just lost. Alright, let's come back there. So 3 games lost. Wow. So somewhere here, I think black should be definitely better here. So I just have a great concentration of pieces there on the king side. So yeah, my pieces are placed better, so white has more vulnerable spots. So maybe there is no direct way of doing it. Well, let's check knight g2 first of all. Knight g2, king g2, let's say knight f4. Yeah, I think it's also kind of bluff. After king g3, there is nothing concrete. So maybe h5, but yeah, maybe there is something, I don't know. Maybe, but I'm not sure. Okay, let's try to do this without sacrifices. So maybe queen to b3 or something. To start with rook d8 was just, yeah, too much, maybe. So rook d2 maybe. It's very hard to believe that there is nothing, and it's very strange that my opponent actually played bishop b2, having no fear of this giving up f4 square. It was not so easy to calculate everything there. So much more logical was, in my opinion, something like bishop b3. But okay, after bishop b2, I also don't have anything concrete. So maybe it was also okay. Don't know. Yeah, maybe here there was an interesting moment. For instance, I take on d4. Knight takes d4. For example, white is not forced to take on d4, I just want to check it. Bishop d4, queen d4, sacrifice somewhere there. No, it's not enough as well. Oh, maybe there is nothing. I don't know. Maybe queen f7 is already not that good idea. Maybe it was possible just to put rook f7, another rook to f7. Yeah, and exert pressure this way with both rooks doubled along the f-file. I was just tempted by this idea of attacking the rook on a2. Maybe that was my mistake. Have no idea. Anyways, thanks a lot for this evening. So again, I lost 2 games. Well, happens. Episode by episode, I start actually getting used to this. All right, so my homework, let's remember, to learn Caro-Kann, right? Right. I will try to do this during this week, and well, actually, all premium members are, as usual, welcome next Tuesday to the next episode of Training Tuesday. We'll continue with the attack against the king. So we will discuss again several interesting studies, very nice ones. So this coming set will be just amazing. Have a nice weekend. All the best. See you very soon. Bye bye.